The MCU is on its arse, but I was still holding on for one man, one reason to believe this thing still had life. And then they made the man who did this
I beat you!
do this.
Morning.
And that was it for me. Call it time of death whenever I watched She-Hulk. Rumours of reshoots, fired writers, delays, all the signs of disaster were there.
I could say the same about you.
But then I watched it and it wasn't a disaster. It's been the total opposite. So let's talk about it. This is the show that brought me back. Thank God for the devil of Hell's Kitchen. Thank God for Daredevil, Born Again. It feels like Daredevil. They didn't reinvent the wheel, they brought it back. From his appearance in She-Hulk, and I watched all of She-Hulk, every single episode, I will bet the temptation was there to reintroduce Matt Murdock as some sort of Harvey Specter mixed with nanotech, complete with the line, "Tony's always kept tabs on you."
You are an Avenger.
I'm a really good lawyer.
There's no way that temptation wasn't there, but it was squashed. Born Again respects its roots, same characters, same tone, and a clear through line from the Netflix era. But it still pushes the story forward in meaningful ways. Killing Foggy and limiting Karen's screen time gives the series weight. It feels like a continuation, but it's still fresh. So you could start here, but why would you? There's no aliens in the sky, there's no world-ending threat. There are subtle nods to the MCU, like the Steve Rogers billboards, Miss Marvel's dad working in the bank, and I watched every episode of Miss Marvel just to not go see the Marvels. Every man has his limit. That was mine.
It's an interesting take, I like it.
And over the course of the season, the show unravels the collision course that Matt and Fisk are on, but it's the journey that makes it so compelling. Matt wins in court, and then the White Tiger is murdered, so the system fails him again. He's torn between honouring Foggy's belief in the justice system and confronting the fact that Bullseye is still alive whilst Foggy is no longer with him.
You feel good about that? He got life! How about old Foggy? He got life.
Foggy.
On the flip side, Fisk has gone straight. The system works, ladies and gentlemen. He's the mayor now, but he's struggling to maintain control, especially in his relationship with Vanessa. She stepped up as the Queenpin, ambitious, ruthless, and no longer willing to stand in the shadows. And all that pressure is building towards the inevitable, which is him and Matt on a collision course. And a quick side note, those scenes of Wilson Fisk in high schools, priceless. The MCU's quippiness in their approach to humour is almost cliche at this point, and I think we're all getting a wee bit tired of it.
Get lost, Squidward.
He exhausts me.
Did you see that jerk?
So forget the wisecracks. I would watch a full episode of Wilson Fisk the Mayor, back-to-back Teams calls and opening Aldi's. That's the type of comedy the MCU needs more of.
Just wonderful.
Give me that, please, Disney. Give me that full episode.
Now for our next one.
No. That's fine.
But on to my next point. Matt and Fisk, two sides on the same descent, or as we say in my beautiful country, two cheeks on the same arse. As Matt becomes the devil again, Fisk also becomes the Kingpin. This isn't just a rematch, it's a parallel transformation. Born Again deepens the relationship between Matt and Fisk and shows how both men try and ultimately fail to change. Matt, tortured by the death of Foggy, tries to honour his memory by returning to the courtroom. But was he really doing it for Foggy, or is it guilt disguised as some sort of tribute? Foggy was Matt's moral anchor.
You want another round.
Blood is being shed,
And you've donated more than your fair share to the cause. You need to get rest. You need to consider putting that thing back in whatever wacko box it came from.
Without him, Matt's attempts to find purpose through the law feel hollow, like he's trying to replace what was lost instead of just accepting it. He's not just grieving, he's clinging to a version of himself that no longer exists.
Well, boo-hoo. Let me tell you something, buddy. Everybody's lost someone. Doesn't mean you have to do this.
You know you're one bad day away from being me.
That moment there, that's not justice, that's punishment. Finally embracing the darker side that's been hinted at over several seasons now. He's violent, vengeful, and driven by guilt and wrath.
He started smashing his face against the table.
Crazy asshole.
Thank you, counselor.
Fuck you.
And Fisk, he's no longer your friendly neighbourhood mayor who really wants to change and clean up the city. Well, he does, but you ain't gonna like how he does it.
We will keep this city safe.
By the end, he's full Kingpin once again. And what makes this story so interesting and their relationship so interesting is that under all the history, the violence and the vengeance, there's almost a respect between them.
I will admit, it's not entirely unpleasant seeing you again.
That scene in the cafe, it's loaded. They almost catch up like old friends. But every sentence starts to feel like a chess move.
But you should know I was also raised to believe in retribution. So if you step out of line, I will be there.
I'm going to be mayor of this town. And should you go back to any of your old activities, there will be consequences.
But the truth is, neither of them can stay away from who they really are. And they both know deep down they'll be seeing each other soon. So Born Again doesn't just do a rehash of the Netflix shows. It manages to take that same conflict between Fisk and Daredevil and deepen it and evolve it and tell a new story, but with the same characters you've grown to love. This is character-driven storytelling at its best.
Well then, it appears we really do understand each other.
I love a man who rises above his nature. Good luck with that, Murdock.
Charlie Cox kills it.
Do you know you're an icon, legend, and look too uncomfortable? Thank you.
Now, we love a villain, alright? And Vincent D'Onofrio gets a lot of praise for his performance as Wilson Fisk, and rightly so. But honestly, I don't think Charlie Cox gets enough credit for his portrayal as Matt. This is a guy who had to carry entire seasons on his back. And let's not forget, he had some massive shoes to fill. Redefining the role that Ben Affleck had clearly solidified as his own. That is a joke, by the way. Don't come at me in the comments.
You're holding back.
So stupid.
So yeah, Daredevil Born Again, it's not just a great show, it feels like a turning point for the MCU as a whole. For the last few years, Marvel has been floundering. Both critics and fans have tuned out. But Born Again gave me hope. Instead of stubbornly soldiering on, they actually listened. And they fired the original writers, delayed production, and they started over. That's not nothing. They deserve a lot of credit for doing that. And you know what? It paid off because Daredevil Born Again feels like a show that actually respects its characters, the story it's telling, and the audience that they want to watch it.
Unlike some recent projects in the MCU.
I get it. I do, Cassie. I really do. But I don't want you wasting your life.
At least we're trying to do something that matters.
Have either of you guys ever studied quantum physics?
We're trying to do something that matters.
That doesn't seem fair.
And with 2 new Avengers movies on the horizon, I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm not saying we're back at the heights of Infinity War and Endgame, but if Daredevil Born Again is an example of the standard that Marvel is now shooting for, well then maybe there's still some life in the MCU yet. But what do you think? Can the MCU be saved? What did you think of Daredevil Born Again? I want to hear from you in the comments. And if you're back again, having watched my Last of Us video and you subscribed, thank you so much. I had little to no expectations when I put that video out. So the views that it got and some of you who decided to subscribe and stick around, that has been a nice little surprise for me. So thank you for watching the video. I've been Scott of the Dead. Subscribe and who knows, you might get another one. See ya.